Hello and welcome once again to the Thrifty Collector. Today I'm going to go over some cards that I bought at the local card shop in Gulf Breeze, Florida. If you're ever in the Pensacola area, Gulf Breeze, or Fort Walton Beach, Destin, you should go check them out. Very large selection of cards. They do have a lot of half price boxes, and that's usually, of course, what I go through and try to find some deals. The first card that I got was Jack Brohammer. Great signer through the mail. As you can tell, he's got the rookie cup to it. So I'm definitely going to want to get this one signed. And if you look towards the right of the card, it actually has Rediscover Tops. In the early 2010s, they had Rediscovered Tops. They had a 50th anniversary. And they're just buyback cards. They're old cards. They put a little stamp on them, but I think it makes them kind of cool. And they are a little bit scarce. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, they really don't have an increased value. You can almost get them just as cheap as you can get the regular cards. So that's why I really like these, because I think they're very unique. And I'm going to enjoy sending them to the players themselves. So that's the 1973 Jack Brohammer. The next card is a 1964 50th anniversary Bob Lillis card. So if you look towards the bottom right, you can see different stamps, so that's kind of cool. This card right here is Bob Lillis. He was a manager for a couple years on a couple different teams, and really excited to have this one, get this one sent out anytime you can get an older one. Now, they also had another kind of buyback card, and this is a Topps original. This is Dick Drago. Very good signer, so I'm hoping to get this back pretty quick from him. The next card is a 1965 Wally Bucker. Say that 5 times fast. He did have a card. I believe he was an original Expo back in 1969. Once again, you got the All-Star rookie on it. Love those cards. Next card is Bob Aspromonte. And that's a 1965, another great signer. I'll enjoy getting that one. The next card is a 1971 Topps Richie Hebner card. Richie is a very good signer. His rookie card was on with Al Oliver, who in my opinion should be in the Hall of Fame, about a little over 2,700 hits. And he was one of the guys that back in 86, 87, the league was trying to lower salaries, so a lot of these older guys, they basically blackballed them. Just for an example, you had Bob Horner, you also had Al Oliver, and Dave Kingman, and all of them sued the Major League Baseball. Next card, and great signer, Larry Boa. Denny Doyle, I haven't looked. I don't think he's a signer, but Larry Boa is in the Through the Mail Signing Hall of Fame. Next card is a 1972 Roger Repos. I had just sent to him probably about 2 months ago, and he sent me a 4x6 black and white picture of himself. Very nice, good quality stock. Him in a Yankees uniform, and he signed that also. The next card is the 1967 Cy Young winner, Jim Lonberg. Jim had an amazing year for those for the 67 Red Sox, and then kind of bounced around for a little while, but he did stay in the league till about 1980-81. A 1973 Johnny Edwards. I've sent to him probably at least 3 times. He does send you like little 3x5 or 4x5 pictures also signed. Now, my favorite player growing up of all time, David Arthur Kingman. This is what they call SSPC. They were unlicensed, and a lot of guys will not sign these cards. So a lot of them, if you send them, even if you send them to paid signings and shows, they will not sign them. I don't think Kingman cares, but just something to look out for if you see some of these SSPs. They did come in complete sets. They're great cards, and you can actually pick up like the rookies of Robin Yount, and George Brett pretty cheap compared to their Topps versions. Here's another one of those buyback cards. This is a Topps 75th anniversary card. This is Duffy Dyer. Now, Duffy played on the 1969 Mets and also the 1973 Mets. So, great card. He was in both of their first World Series. This is a good-looking card. This is the 73 Duffy Dyer. What I like about a lot of these, you can tell it's spring training, a little bit more laid back. You see there's not really even any stands. And I'm sure back in the 60s and 70s, these guys weren't really hounded all that much. Spring training isn't what it is today, where it's a autograph hound fest. It was kind of like the early days of all that. The next card I'm going to have to pull out here because this was actually the way that this was. This is an Elmer Valo card. And I first saw it, and I was not really too excited about it. But then I noticed on the back of the card was a little piece of an index card. And on that was his autograph. I actually paid $1 for this. So I got the card and I got the this little autograph. I don't know if this was something that he sent out to people or somebody made and sent to him. He's been gone, I think, about 15 years, so that's kind of neat. The next card is a 1962 postcard, and these actually came on the back of cereals. So kids would cut them out. That's why if you see a lot of these, they're all cut in different sizes. If you actually see one and the corners are bad, but there's a lot left around it, you can actually just recut it and it'll be just as good. Now, I was telling a friend of mine about this guy and the kind of years that he had when he first started. And if you look, he hit 46 home runs, knocked in 141 RBIs, and batted .302. So he had a monster year in 1962. So he's still signed, still around. I don't think he even made it to the end of the 60s. He ended up getting hurt, and that was pretty much all that was for him. Next is a 1968 Dave Duncan. I don't know why they blacked out his shirt. He was obviously in an A's or his hat. He's obviously in an A's uniform. So he probably had an A's hat on, unless he was in the minors at that particular time that they took that picture. But Dave Duncan was the bullpen coach for Tony La Russa for all those years in Oakland and all those years in St. Louis. So he actually has, I think, about two or three World Series rings. Next card is the 1973 Tony Musser. Or Muser. Don't know exactly how that's pronounced. Always love these cards when first basemen have their glove out. I think it's a pretty good action card. Once again, you can tell that's spring training. If you look right next to his left elbow, you can just see regular folding chairs just sitting there. And definitely not a major league ballpark. Darnold Knowles. Great signer. Will sign whatever you want. Saw a Daytona Cubs game years and years ago. I can't even remember who they were playing, but he was one of the coaches. And as far as I know, he's still in organized baseball all these years later. Next card is Jake Gibbs. Now, I've done a lot of Jake Gibbs over the years. I didn't notice this had a corner crease like it does in the top right corner. But Jake Gibbs actually placed, I believe it was second in the Heisman Trophy. He was a quarterback at, Ole Miss? I believe Ole Miss. And he stayed around for about good 10, 11 years with the Yankees. He came up, he was Elston Howard's backup way back then, and probably was about ready to break through, and the Yankees brought up this kid named Thurman Munson. So that kind of kept him on the as the backup. One of my favorite cards, and a card that I recommend everybody get and get signed, Roger Craig, fantastic signer. He should be in the Hall of Fame if you look at his stats. I think it's one of them things where the 49ers teams from the 80s, they got a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame. You got Montana and Rice, but he definitely deserves it. First player ever to rush and catch receiving 1,000 yards, both in the same season. So pretty amazing. Next is a 1968 Dave Boswell. He's actually known as Dr. Dave Boswell now. He will actually send you a couple of cards of him. Seems like a pretty cool guy. If you do send to him, make sure you put doctor on the envelope and not Mr., just out of respect for him being a doctor. 1968 Dick Green. Once again, you can see his hat is blacked out. So might have been when they went from Kansas City to Oakland. I don't know. That might be probably the best guess that there is. When I see a card like this, I always wonder, the guy in the background, what was he doing? Who is he? It's hard to tell. Sometimes you can write and say, hey, do you know who was in the back of this? You never know. That might be Reggie Jackson. And so that would be like Reggie's first card. Obviously, once again, spring training. Dick was on, I believe, all three of the A's World Series championship teams, 72, 73, and 74. Once again, we got another Dick Green, 1970. And if you're wondering why I picked these particular guys, I always pick the guys, like I said, that I know sign, or good signers, and are good-looking cards. Next is a 1965 Bernie Allen. He was on, I believe he was on Pete Rose's rookie card. Not 100% sure about that. Here's this 1973, when he happened to be on the Yankees. Now, if you're looking for resale value down the road, when I retire, and I promised myself I'm only going to keep 10 cards. That's all I'm going to keep. And one of them is going to be Hulk Hogan, without a doubt. My Hulk Hogan Wrestling All-Stars card that's signed. But when I do finally say I'm retired and I get rid of all my cards, because we plan on being in a 1-bedroom or maybe a 2-bedroom condo, not going to be able to keep everything. Can't take it with you. So, but Yankees are always good to have cards signed. The next card is Diego Segui. Diego Segui played for a very long time. Great signer. Actually from Cuba. So I always think it's kind of cool that the guys that got over here before or after Cuba. And then here's this 1971. Now, I did see a card that was signed, and I said to myself, I think this guy's been gone for at least about 15 years, and it's Elrod Hendricks. And I got this card for $2.50. There was one that just sold, I believe it was $60. I checked it when I first bought these about 5 days ago. So, real cool to have these. That's one of the nice things about shops, that unless it's shiny, unless it comes out of a pack, they really don't know the value of some of these cards that are signed, because they're, and I'm doing air quotes here, not certified. So, but I did look at this. I did look at some of the cut cards and a few of the other cards that are on there, and definitely can tell this is his signature. So very happy to have this when you can get a card of a guy that's been deceased for about 15, 18 years. So thank you once again. Thanks for letting me share my recent additions here that I've gotten through the card shop in Gulf Breeze, Florida. It is a great shop. If you're in the area, if you do go to the Alabama beaches, not that far of a way. You basically, if you're like in Gulf Shores or Foley, what have you, one of those, you're looking at probably about a good hour drive, maybe a little bit longer, but fun to check out. Well, thanks for letting me share. Everybody have a great day. Stay thrifty. And Elizabeth, you can go back to having your dinner.